Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries, let's flow for now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow.
What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another episode of the Transfer Show with yours truly, JSGC. We're here for, I think, episode number 7 of the summer transfer window, and alas, we do have a little bit of movement in the transfer market when it comes to Manchester City and incoming. So before I do crack on with this live stream, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then please do feel free to subscribe to my channel. As you can see from the live subscriber count in the top corner, we're now less than 400 subs away from my goal of 37,000 subscribers. So any help towards that would be great. Also, don't forget social media links. You can find them in the description or on the yellow banner too, if you want to go and search for me and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim, and don't forget as well, get your thoughts in the comments below or get your thoughts in the live chat. That would be much appreciated. So, as you can see from the title, we're going to be speaking about Manchester City and potential outgoings and also potential incomings when it comes to the very latest on Kyle Walker. And also, we're going to be speaking more about Man City officially unveiling Savino from Estac Trois. I also want to speak about Kovacic because we've had an update on him in the last 24 hours as well. Monketem, not sure how you pronounce your name. Apologies for that. Hello, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Foot Tomato, thank you for tuning in as well. Do get your thoughts, guys, in the live chat. That would be much appreciated. Foot says, how much playing time do I think Savino's going to get at Manchester City, considering we have already got Oscar Bob, Jeremy Doku, Jack Grealish, and Bernardo Silva. Let's not forget Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne can also occupy out wide as well. I think he'll get some playing time for Man City. He's already said he's pretty versatile, can play on the right wing, can play on the left wing, can play in attacking midfield as well. I think he'll get plenty of playing time. I think City are probably going to alternate between Jeremy Doku and Jack Grealish on the left-hand side, so it leaves the right-hand side nice and open. And I think City's plan, in particular, if they don't end up signing any central midfielders, in particular attacking central midfielders this summer, then I think City's plan will be to very much use the likes of Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Matheus Nunes, all through midfield rather than out wide. So it could be the potential of Bernardo Silva and Savio and Oscar Bob all alternating on the right wing for Manchester City. let's not forget, Savino's only 20 years old. He's going to have to be given time. I'm not expecting him to come in and start doing 40, 50 games for Manchester City because it's just not going to happen. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much for tuning in and leaving your thoughts in the live chat. Much appreciated. We've also got Abdullah Hi. Thanks for tuning in. Says Danny Olmo's deal. What happened? Well, Manchester City just aren't that interested in signing him this summer. That seems to be the factual statement. We've had two very conflicting reports. I've really enjoyed over the last week calling it the Danny Olmo confusion. It is very confusing because you've had a pretty reliable source like DiMarzio saying that Man City do want to sign Danny Olmo and they're going to try and release that clause, which, by the way, the release clause on his contract ends tomorrow. Doesn't look like any club's going to be activating that release clause. So if we do want to make a move for Danny Olmo at any point in the summer transfer window, then we're going to have to go out there and negotiate a deal with RB Leipzig, which I just want to chuck out there for you guys. The future of Julian Alvarez has come out into the headlines over the last week or so. We know there's serious interest coming in from Atletico Madrid. We know that they can't afford Man City's asking price of £80 million. So because of that, if Julian Alvarez does end up leaving Manchester City, and we do need a new striker, I don't think Man City are going to look for a backup contingency to Erling Haaland. Doesn't really make much sense because you end up with a brilliant striker who can't get in the team because you've got the world's best, which means you have to look for a player that can do a little bit more. Someone like Savio, maybe, if you don't want to go down that route. And Man City, we've seen it numerous times last season, dropping Julian Alvarez into attacking midfield. Then Manchester City are going to need to go out there and sign a player who's used to playing in an attacking midfield, a player that's used to, if there's no striker playing, they can sit in that deeper role and allow the other attackers, in particular the wingers, to be able to invert, cut in, and be able to score goals, which is a role I think would really suit the likes of Jack Grealish and Phil Foden. But to me, if you're looking for the other alternative, I think if Alvarez leaves, I'd quite like Danny Olmo to replace him. Don't know about your thoughts, guys. Do let me know in the live chat. But whilst that is the case, I don't see City making a move. But thank you very much, Abdullah Hi, for tuning in. Much appreciated. Alfredo, thanks for tuning in. Says, what are the chances of getting Cole Palmer back in the coming transfer windows? You can see him as a real Kevin De Bruyne replacement. He already knows the system and how we like to play. I think Manchester City are just going to have to chalk it off as we made a mistake in selling Cole Palmer. No sell-on fee, no buyback clause. We were happy with the £40 million. We didn't expect Cole Palmer to be as good as what he's been in the last 12 months, or certainly not in that space of time anyway. We've just got to move on from that. Cole Palmer won't be coming back to Manchester City. He's going to try and build himself into a phenomenal player. I already know he's going to be a phenomenal player, and we've just got to say we made a mistake, I think, and we'll move on from that. And it's okay to make mistakes in the transfer market. No team, no player is perfect when it comes to the transfer market. Mark my words on that. Dwight, thanks for tuning in, says, we need a central defensive midfielder. Certainly do, and I think that will be the other position that City will look at in this window. And Dwight, good morning, tuning in from Queens in New York City. Love that. JSGC, actually, 7 weeks. Is it 7 weeks? 7 weeks. Yeah, I'll be in New York City for a week. Really looking forward to that. Anyway, Monty, thanks for tuning in, says, does Danny Olmo's release clause end today or tomorrow, 20th? So it was a 5-day extension. So it was set to expire on the 15th. 5-day extension takes us to the 20th. So that will expire on the 20th, which is tomorrow. Teams don't tend to do much business at the weekend, so with that all being said and done, it means that more than likely, if no team's activating that by the close of play today, then Danny Olmo, I'm not saying he's going to stay at RB Leipzig, but what I am saying is you'll have to sit down and negotiate with RB Leipzig, which apparently Man City are happy to do, so we will see. Adrian, thanks for tuning in, says, I'm certain any incomings will simply be driven by who will leave, reactive as opposed to proactive. I think that's absolutely spot on. I think Man City, we're still waiting for clarity. It looks like Ederson stays, so that's good news. Looks like we don't have to dip into the goalkeeping market, so that's that kind of closed off. We're waiting to hear what Kyle Walker wants to do. I know he signed a new contract last summer, but Manchester City, Kyle Walker, he's always going to be open to the moves. I'll speak more about Kyle Walker in just one moment. We've seen John Stones getting linked with the exit door this week. We still need to sort out what's happening with Jan Couto, with João Cancelo, with Calvin Phillips, Mateus Nunes, Kovacic has been getting linked with the exit door, Julian Alvarez as well. There's a lot of players. There's more than half a dozen players there that we do need to sort out at some point in this transfer window. So Adrian says Kevin De Bruyne, Stones, Walker, Alvarez are all being touted as players that could be subject to bid. So I think you're spot on there, and I'll be very surprised if all these first team players stay this summer at Man City. So I can see one or two more leaving, which means Man City will need to dip into the market. And I know we're more than halfway through the transfer window, and some people are getting very anxious about the window and Man City not really looking like they're doing too much. Things will be happening behind the scenes. Players will have been identified. City will have started early discussions in their interest in players. Transfers, as Manchester United are showing at the moment, they're not taking too long to get sorted and get done, taking 2-3 weeks. Normally it can take 5-6 weeks, but it all depends on the negotiation. So it may just be one of them transfer windows where if Man City do want to go out there and sign players, we're either going to have to pay the asking price or start to look towards players that we've done in previous summers and look for players with release clauses. I can see maybe one or two first team players leaving. I can see Man City maybe signing at least a couple more players in this window. I'm sticking with what I was saying pretty early on in the window. I think it's going to be 4 players that City sign this summer. We've already brought in Savio, so he's included as one of the 4 players. I think City will leave it much later in the window once we get clarity on Calvin Phillips, on João Cancelo and Jan Couto. If all them 3 players leave, which is what I'm expecting, then I think City will look to try and sign some young unknown player that's not really been linked with the club to directly replace Sergio Gomez, a nice versatile squad player. I think I can see us promoting an academy player or two as well. I can see us adding a central defensive midfielder, and I think the other case would be as to which first team player does decide to leave, and I think that will be that for the summer transfer window. So end isn't in sight, but it is in sight. Very unusual but interesting window, to say the least. Nadir, thanks for tuning in, says, have a feeling Bruno G will happen. It's one of the only incomings that we need other than Savino coming to Manchester City. I also have that feeling. I think it will be Bruno G. I've heard rumours over the last 24 hours saying that Man City are going to ask for Bruno G to start to push the issue. We can't really do much till he's done on his holidays, and that's not going to be for another couple of weeks. So I don't think talks and things will start to intensify from there. Remember, the Premier League season doesn't start until the middle of August, so we're still looking at another 4 weeks before the Premier League does get underway. Man City, of course, flying out today for their pre-season tour of the United States of America. So I'm pretty relaxed about the situation. I think City are pretty relaxed about it too. So we'll see what direction we do go in. But I think as well, I think Bruno G, I mean, if everybody ends up staying, I think it'll be one more signing, and I think that player will be Bruno Guimaraes. Now, Foot Tomato says, why is Frimpong on the thumbnail? Didn't know that we were looking into him. Rumours going round. And that leads me perfectly onto what I want to talk about in today's video. Kyle Walker. Now, if you've been paying attention to the headlines, Kyle Walker went on international duty with England. England reached the final of the European Championships and lost to Spain. They flew back to London the next day, so that was on Monday, so the previous Monday that's just gone by, and Kyle Walker was in court by the Tuesday. Now, Kyle Walker's off-field antics have been made very clear. He's made it clear himself in the press, doing a public apology to his wife, to his children. He's been a naughty boy, and he's caused himself some problems. Not once, but twice. 2 kids with another woman. Naughty, naughty. I'm not going to get involved with what's happening off the field, as quite frankly, it's not my business. It's nobody else's business. It's Kyle Walker's business. It's Kyle Walker's baby mama and his wife's kind of personal issues to get sorted out. But it's getting dragged through the press. And I don't think Kyle Walker, his wife, or his family like this. And this has all materialised over the last 12 months or so, because Kyle Walker was and ahhing last summer about whether he should leave City and go to Bayern Munich. He had the opportunity, and I think he was pretty close to that move. He'd spoke with other players about making that move. He was pretty close to leaving Manchester City, but he decided, do you know what? I'm going to stick it out. Now, all these rumours start to come out into the press. These rumours turn out to be very true. And all of a sudden, Kyle Walker's not had one, but two children with another woman. That woman's now dragged him into court. It's all out there. It's all in the public, so we can speak about it. It's not rumours or speculation. It's fact. It's what's happened. Now, this lady has taken Kyle Walker to court. She wants Kyle Walker's money. She wants him to start paying, the rumours are saying anyway now, that she wants, I think it's, is it 1.3K every single month so she can have her hair and makeup done. She wants £90,000 to deck out this mansion that Kyle Walker's bought her. Apparently, she's now got a house worth £1.3 million. She is going to rinse Kyle Walker of every single penny, and if she gets the courts back in, that's bad news for Kyle Walker. And I am just wondering, now this is the speculation, I'm just wondering if Kyle Walker didn't take his opportunity to leave the country and get away from the press and get away from this lady and to kind of just set himself up somewhere else. He didn't take his opportunity in Germany, but the rumours are going around that Saudi Arabia, where he gets a bigger pay packet, where he gets it tax-free, where it allows him to fund for this lady's lifestyle that she's pushing in court, whilst also allowing him to pay for his two children with this lady and pay for his 3 children that he's had with his wife and sorting out his personal issues that he's having with his wife as well. And from a financial point of view, maybe it makes sense for Kyle Walker to leave, but it also may just make sense from a personal point of view that Kyle Walker will get that privacy that his family are clearly looking for in Saudi Arabia, because it's just not going to happen here. Vice-captain of England, captain of Manchester City, Kyle Walker is here, there, and everywhere. Everybody knows Kyle Walker's face. Everybody knows Kyle Walker's name. He's got in the team of this tournament for England at the European Championships. England getting to the final, starting to see more and more neutrals paying attention. Everybody knows about Kyle Walker. Everybody Googled Kyle Walker, and they see his off-field antics there on the first 3 pages of Google for everybody to see that he's been a naughty boy. So I'm just wondering if Kyle Walker might just think, do you know what? This is a good time to leave Manchester City with his stock pretty high. He can get paid a lot of money and get the privacy that he is looking for. And if that is the case, then Manchester City will long-term need a new right-back. We know long-term we need a new right-back. I've had concerns over the last 12 months of Kyle Walker's pace just starting to slip away. And during the European Championship, when it's been a long, hard season, it was exposed, I thought, by several teams and several players. Kyle Walker looks leggy. Kyle Walker looks tired. Kyle Walker's main attribute is his pace. That's what he offers to Manchester City. The capabilities to bomb up and down that right wing, to be able to track back, to allow him to man-mark quick players out of the game. He loses that pace, or he starts to show signs of losing that pace. All of a sudden, Man City, I think, need to be looking elsewhere. And if that is the case, then who do Manchester City look towards? Because Kyle Walker, to me, is very much now getting right towards the end parts of his career at the top end of the Premier League with Manchester City. And if we do want to look long-term, do you keep what you've got? Do you go with Rico Lewis? Do you go with John Stones? Do you go with Manu Akanji? Or do you go out there and sign somebody else, a direct replacement? We've not been getting linked with that many right-backs, but one name, and that's why he's in the thumbnail, is Jeremie Frimpong. And I think he would be a brilliant signing, homegrown by Manchester City. A very upcoming prospect, had a brilliant season with Bayer Leverkusen. Really good with his attacking credentials. He's a very good, very quick winger. Now, he doesn't really play right back. He's nowhere near what Kyle Walker is like. 2 very different style of players. try and think of Frimpong as more of a right wing back or a right winger. Now, if Man City want to pursue and persist with this three at the back that we've been seeing in the second half of last season, which I think that they're going to, if they are going to persist with that, it brought out, in my opinion, the best out of Joško Gvardiol. But on the right-hand side, when we was asking Kyle Walker to kind of do the same and get forward and overlap and put balls into the box, Kyle Walker's crossing and balls into the box, they're all right. They're not the best. There's better players out there. Kyle Walker leaves. I look towards one of the best young players that's just brilliant at being able to do that. And that is Jeremie Frimpong. Release clause FC. £34 million. You bring back a homegrown player by Manchester City. You put him into the squad. He's got, a good 10, 15 years. You're making a serious investment. To me, replacing Kyle Walker with Jeremie Frimpong makes sense from the attacking point of view. Defensively, I'm going to be calling on the likes of John Stones and Manu Akanji to be covering on that right-hand side. And I personally feel that Akanji is one of the most underrated players that City have got. To me, he would be the player. If you want to sign Frimpong and play Frimpong, you make sure Akanji's starting as well, and he moves over to the right-hand side. If we go with Stones and Rodri in defensive midfield, Stones moves himself over to that right-hand side, and you cover them bases, because I know full well that if Frimpong's playing and he's getting forward, he's not going to be getting back. He's not that kind of player. But I think he offers something a little bit different, and I think he'd be a really good player for Manchester City. Very affordable. It makes sense as far as I'm concerned. I think he would be a really good signing for Manchester City. And if, it's a big capital IF, Kyle Walker does want to leave, that's what I would be looking for. Kyle Walker's gone on his holidays. I don't think he's going to be making any decisions about his future in the next 4 weeks. He will be having serious discussions with his family, with his children, with his wife, to try and sort out the off-field antics that have been happening. And it has to be playing on Kyle Walker's mind. How can it not? Surely he'd be looking for a clean slate. I think right now, this summer, is the perfect time for Man City to depart with Kyle Walker. And I think it's the perfect time for Kyle Walker to depart from Manchester City. If both parties are suited, I would try and look for that potential sale. As I said, the big bonus that Kyle Walker's got if he does want to go to Saudi Arabia, tax-free money and a lot of privacy as well. As far as I'm concerned, in my head, it was making sense. I did want to discuss it, so I would love to know your thoughts, guys, in the live chat. If you're watching this after the stream, then let me know in the comments below. Now, before I do go on to speak about Kovacic, just wanted to give a big shout out to today's video sponsor, SofaScore. They're going to keep you guys up to date every single step of the way with all the latest football scores ahead of the new 2024-25 season. So do go and check them out. It's a free app to download, very highly rated, and anyone that does download using my link in the description in the live chat or the QR code on screen does help to support the future content created here on my channel. I do have my promo video, which I'm going to roll for you right now, and then we'll speak about Matteo Kovacic. So, Kovacic, he's been getting linked with a move to Fenerbahce over the last 24 hours. Very interesting. Jose Mourinho, he's taken over as the manager of Fenerbahce, and apparently he's looking to try and implement his new playing style according to sources in Turkey. And one of the players that he's potentially looking at is Kovacic. Kovacic, brilliant with his ball passing distribution. He's a brilliant squad player, I think, for Manchester City. And I'm not surprised at all that Fenerbahce, in fact, if Man City make it clear that Kovacic is for sale, I'm amazed there's not more interest from all over the globe in Kovacic. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think he has a lot to offer the Man City squad. He's only been here for 12 months. I like players to do 2 years at Man City just so we can see the best of them and I can decide better as to whether I think they're a good fit for the club or not. But from what I've seen in the last 12 months, I think he is a good fit. I think he is a really good player. Certainly in them last 6 months as well, I thought he was a brilliant alternative option in midfield. Any players need a rest, Kovacic can come in. You want Kovacic to play in a more attacking role and start knocking the ball around? Brilliant, he can do that. You need some control in midfield, you send Kovacic on. You got an injury to Rodri or he needs a rest and you need somebody to come on. As long as you're not playing one of the top teams that are capable of pressing Man City for long periods of time, Kovacic, a brilliant option. £25 million we signed him for. To me, very good player. Because of that, I'd be doing everything I can to try and keep Kovacic at the club. Now, if we get a good offer, too good to turn down kind of offer, then I'd maybe think about selling him. However, I don't think Fenerbahce are going to do that. I think they're probably going to try and get Kovacic on the most affordable deal possible. And to me, I mean, what are you looking at? Your money back, 20, 25 million pounds? I don't think you're going to sign better for 20 to 25 million pounds. And what I really don't want Man City to do is to start moving players on for the sake of moving players on and signing alternatives instead. You don't want to be doing that. City have got a brilliant squad. They've got a Premier League winning squad. So what you want to do is just try and improve that starting 11 as best that you can. And letting too many squad players go potentially can disrupt Manchester City. We've already let Sergio Gomez go. And I think I'm happy with it just being the one player rather than City looking towards 2 or 3 squad players. You need these squad players. You need these experienced players, these players that can offer you something a little bit different to everybody else, these players that are versatile. They are worth their weight in gold, and in particular, there's a reason why these players start to shine in the second half of the season. That's because everybody's tired, and these players are fresh and ready to go. And to me, you've got to have a good 2, 3, 4 decent squad players around your team that can take over the slack whenever they're required. Now, the problem you have with these squad players is they're just that, squad players, not in Man City's starting 11. And because they're not in the City starting 11, at some point they're going to say, I want minutes and I want to leave. Stefan Ortega, far too good to be sat on Manchester City's bench. Sergio Gomez shows glimpses of him being absolutely brilliant. Rico Lewis, again, another fantastic player. These players, they deserve more minutes, and they're just realistically not going to get it at Manchester City. And you let these players go and you can't find replacements. You're left with academy players here. Your squad gets stretched. You end up a little bit thinner, and all of a sudden, when you do get injuries at any point, you end up relying on young players to step up, and it's going to take these young players, these academy players, a long time to develop themselves. So it's not just Pep Guardiola's job, I think it's Chicky's job as well. You've got to find that balance as quickly as possible, and you need to bring high quality players into the squad when you've got the opportunity. I don't want City heading post transfer window with regret and saying, well, we should have signed another player. We're 1 or 2 players short here. Clubs start to get word that Man City are desperate to bring players in. You watch how they start to overcharge Manchester City. So we've got to be so careful. We've got to be smart. You've got to be quick in the window. And I think this Kovacic situation is just worth keeping an eye on. Now, not had many updates on any of the other players. We have had players come back for pre-season, which is good. All the players that haven't been at the international tournaments with their international teams have returned back to pre-season training with Manchester City. So these players will be on their plane to the United States of America. Plane leaves just short of 2 hours' time from Manchester Airport. They're flying over to the United States of America. They're going to be spending a few weeks in the United States of America. I think they're doing 4 games over in the States, and there's going to be many young players that are going to be given their opportunity. So Man City are going to take this opportunity to have a good look at these young players and decide, do we want to loan them? Do we want to put them back into their academy? Maybe 1 or 2 of them could impress that much that maybe, just maybe, they might be in the City first team squad. So do keep an eye on some of the players. I was going to say Callum Doyle, one of the most highly rated young players that we've got at City. He'd be a player worthwhile keeping an eye on. I don't know if Alex Robertson's heading to pre-season with City, but if he is, again, another player to keep your eyes on. James McAtee as well, another high quality player. These are the kind of players that I'd be looking working towards them trying to really make a statement pre-season, because Man City, we don't start to get our first team players. We've got a lot of them missing. We don't get a lot of them back until right before the Community Shield. So these players may be 3-4 weeks away from being at full fitness. So for the first 2 or 3 Premier League games, we may need a few of these young players. And I'm hearing word that Man City are going to give Alex Robertson a new contract and then loan him to Cardiff City. Norwich City interested in taking Callum Doyle from Manchester City on loan with no purchase option. I'd rather keep these players until the end of this window and then decide that we want to loan them to either Premier League or Championship teams and go from there. That's what I think I would be having a look at. Now, the final transfer I want to speak about, Savino. Wants to go by the name Savino, by the way, and not Savio, so we are going to be referring to him as Savino. He said there was a bit of a mix-up at Girona. He's always liked to be called Savino. He likes Savino to be on the back of his top, and Girona said, actually, we're going to put Savio on the back instead. So he does want to go by the name of Savino. Says he takes motivation from how well Riyad Mahrez did with Manchester City. So he's decided to take his number, and he's going to be wearing the number 26. So big boots there to fill for Savino. I'm really looking forward to him. He's a very dynamic winger. As I said, he can play right wing, left wing, and in attacking midfield as well. He looks like a very open kind of player. Eager to learn, eager to improve. I'm not expecting to come in and light the Premier League up, but you know what I am expecting is in 12 months' time that Savino will be an even better player than what he is right now. And he said he's thinking about just making himself as good a player as possible, that he's got plenty to offer to Manchester City and to his international team with Brazil as well. He wants to be in the Brazil squad for the World Cup in 2 years' time. He wants to be winning trophies with Manchester City. And from what I've heard of Savino, during his interview that Man City announced his signing of yesterday, he seems like a very down-to-earth, very smart player, and with how calm and composed he looked in being able to speak about his profession, if he can apply that onto the field as well, we could be looking at a very unique kind of winger that Manchester City could have. He's got that Brazilian flair to him, got a good eye for an assist and a good eye for goal as well. I'm really excited to see what he can offer Manchester City. He signs a deal worth 40 million euros. Man City signed him for 25 million euros plus 15 million euros in add-on. So a very affordable deal there for Manchester City. Estac Trois that we're signing from, part of the CFG, getting themselves a lot of money that I hope is going to be invested back into the club and helping them to start to spur them on and start to have better fortunes on the field and start to get their climb back up to Liga 1 over in France, which would be really good to see, because they've had a couple of really bad seasons. There's been protests. They're very passionate in France about their football. They don't really settle for second best. So hopefully Manchester City can bring Savino in, giving the money over to Estac Trois, that they can use that money to reinvest back into the club to bring in some high quality players, some good young players that they can start to build their way back up and make it back to Liga 1, which would be absolutely brilliant. I have done my announcement video for Savino over on my channel. If you do want to go and check it out, is my most recently uploaded video, and I will be back again later on today with my daily Manchester City transfer update. Just want to say hello to a few of you guys for tuning in. I've been keeping an eye on the chat. I've been in very much a flow here in speaking about transfers. Of Pali, thanks for tuning in. Mahmood, thanks for tuning in. Breeze as well, thank you for tuning in. Nadir too, thanks for tuning in. Maxwell, Abhijit, Marius, Nitin, Marcus, Leafa, Cletus, English Dawn, John, Marcus, Vino, and Abhijit as well. Thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. Interesting one that Abhijit just asked about, when is Cancelo's loan ending? His loan has already ended at Barcelona. He has, because he's been with the Portugal squad and they made it to the quarterfinals of the European Championships. They're not expected back, the Portuguese players at Man City, for another roughly 3 weeks or so, which means that we won't have Cancelo's future sorted until we get into August August and what's happening from there. So, what to say, a huge thank you to you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim. Also, don't forget as well to leave your thoughts in the comments below or in the live chat if you're still watching right now. Don't forget as well to subscribe if you're new around here. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. And do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by SofaScore. Thank you very much to SofaScore for sponsoring this video. As I said, do go and check them out. Links and details there in the description. It's a free app to download. They'll keep you up to date with all the latest football scores and all the other scores from around the grounds with all the sports that you guys love to follow all in one place. Very highly rated, free app to download. Anyone that does download the SofaScore app using my link in the description, or the QR code on screen, or the link in the live chat does help to support the future content created here on my channel. And thank you to everybody that has downloaded SofaScore using my link so far. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that's interacted with me today and has left a thumbs up as well, and my new subscribers too. Much appreciated. I'll see you for my daily Manchester City transfer update, which will be out in roughly 60 minutes or so for you guys to enjoy. So, do keep yourselves well. Do stay safe. I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.